I joked, the sleeping space in the car fits both of us. She laughed softly, brushing her hair behind her ear as the wind blew across the empty highway. But then she looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "I'd follow you anywhere." I didn't know it then, but that sentence would change everything I thought I knew about love, about trust, and about the hidden battles people carry in silence. From the outside, we looked like two friends on an accidental road trip. But in truth, we were two strangers running from different kinds of storms, meeting in the middle of a night that none of us expected to share. If someone asked me now when I started falling for her, I'd probably say it was in that moment when her voice trembled behind her brave smile, and she didn't even notice. Flowed in a way only fate can script. We had met by coincidence, or maybe it wasn't. I was driving home after quitting a job that drained the life out of me, trying to breathe again after years of pretending I was fine. She was standing at a closed gas station, hugging her backpack and wiping tears with her sleeve. "Are you okay?" I had asked. She nodded, but her voice betrayed her. I missed the last bus. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, yet something about the loneliness in her eyes mirrored my own. She hesitated before getting into my car, but when she finally did, she exhaled shakily, like she had been holding her breath for years. We drove for hours, talking about everything and nothing. Her name was Liana. She had been working 2 jobs, trying to leave a city that kept disappointing her. She laughed easily, but her laughter sounded like it had learned to survive pain. At some point, the night grew colder, and we had no hotel nearby. That's when I half joked, the sleeping space in the car fits both of us. I expected her to laugh it off. Instead, she whispered, "Honestly, that sounds safe." Her voice broke on the last word. We climbed into the back seat, awkward but strangely comfortable, sharing a thin blanket. The car was small, our shoulders pressed together, but neither of us complained. For a moment, the world outside disappeared. She stared at the roof of the car and said, "You know, it's been years since I didn't feel alone at night." Something inside me tightened. I wanted to ask why, but instead, I let her talk at her own pace. Liana told me about a family that had slowly drifted apart, about relationships where she was always the one holding everything together until she had nothing left for herself. She wasn't running away from a place, she was running away from a version of herself she no longer recognized. When she finished, she tried to apologize for oversharing, but I just shook my head. "You don't have to be strong with me," I said quietly. She closed her eyes, smiling a smile that looked more like surrender than happiness. "Thank you," she whispered, "I'd follow you anywhere." She said it like a promise she didn't expect to keep, but a part of her wished she could. That night, we didn't sleep much. Not because of discomfort, but because of how strangely comforting it felt to not hide behind masks. Began with morning sunlight leaking into the car. Her head was resting on my shoulder, and she didn't pull away when she woke up. Instead, she looked outside, exhaled, and said, "I don't want this to end." I didn't either, but both of us knew life was waiting on the other side of the road. We drove again, this time with music playing and the windows halfway down. She laughed more, real laughter, the kind that warms the air. But halfway through the drive, she received a call. She didn't answer, but her hands shook. "It's the place I was supposed to rent," she said. "They want me to come today or they'll give it to someone else." I could tell she was torn. The apartment was affordable and stable, something she desperately needed. But choosing it meant choosing a life far from where I was headed. She stared out the window, her voice trembling. "We met only yesterday, why does it feel like losing you would hurt?" I didn't have an answer. I pulled over on a quiet roadside, turned to her, and said, "Liana, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to choose between life and a stranger you met on a bad night." Her eyes shimmered when she looked at me. "You're not a stranger," she whispered. "You're the first person who made me feel seen in years." Silence settled between us, heavy and fragile. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to follow me, like she wanted to choose a life where she could start over with someone who wouldn't take her for granted. But she was afraid. Not of me, but of hoping again. I placed my hand over hers. "Go see the apartment," I told her gently. "If it's right for you, stay. If not, I'll still be here." She looked down, then back at me, and before stepping out, she hugged me tight, desperate, grateful. She whispered against my shoulder, "I hope you know, If life were kinder, I would have chosen the road with you. Hours passed before she returned. My heart raced when I saw her walking back toward the car. She stopped beside my window, leaned down, and said, "The apartment is fine." But something was missing. What? I asked. You, she said simply. I realized I don't want a place. I want a person. Someone who makes me feel safe. Someone who makes me feel home. And then she opened the door, placed her backpack in the back seat as if claiming her spot, and looked at me with that soft, trembling smile. "So," she whispered, "does that sleeping space still fit both of us?" I didn't joke this time. I just nodded, because sometimes, the people you meet on the hardest night of your life become the ones who choose you when the sun finally rises, and sometimes, love arrives not with fireworks, but with a soft voice saying, "I'd follow you anywhere."